Alright guys, how's it going? So I said I was going to think about doing some exploration in my ASP. And that's exactly what I'm going to do now. There are two ways to do this really. You can strip the ASP down to its bare minimums for exploration in order to increase your jump drive. Now that means no utility mount, no hard points, nothing, basically no weapons at all. Internally, you start doing things like stripping your power plant down. Obviously you don't need a great power plant, yeah, if you've got no weapons and stuff like that. Your thrusters can become Ds, you can even put them down to D4s, however there are no D4s here, so I'm just going to go with the D5s. It's not too much, it's not going to cost, this isn't going to, cost me very much in terms of jump range. You're always going to take the best frame shift drive you can get, yeah, so that's the A5. Life support's going to be D4, that's the lightest one you can choose. Power distributor's another one you can think about cutting down on. I've gone with the D3 because it still lets you boost one time, although this is not fantastic. However, if you're not going to be using weapons and you've got no shield, which I don't have, it's only really useful for that boost. Now, like I said, no shield here in my 6. Which means I could go with a 6 fuel scoop. However, I'm just going to go with a C5, which I find is really good at refueling. It's good enough. It doesn't use too much power either, which you got to watch for when you're cutting down on your power plant. Sensors are going to be D5. Sorry, I missed that one. You're always going to take the Ds where you can, unless it's the frame shift drive, which has got to be the A. Everything else, you're basically just skipping until you get to the bottom. You're going to go with your advanced discovery scanner, which costs 1.5 million. Now obviously this is the one that lets you discover every single object in a system, just like the normal scanner, except it's got the system wide range. And the detailed surface scanner gives you more money whenever you scan a body, like a sun or a star or a planet. You just get more money for it. So you're always going to go with these two no matter what. Now, like I said, that's one way of doing it. 34.38 jump range. That's pretty good. Yeah, no doubt about it. That's pretty good. But do you really need to go to these lengths? Especially regarding the shield. And what you actually find out is I can stick in if I look at my shield now and stick in this D6. 34.38 drops down to 32.91, so that's about 1.4 light years, but you're gaining an entire D6 shield, which is a very big thing. One of the arguments against bothering with shields and stuff like that is that after 500 light years away from a habitable system, you no longer encounter any NPCs and stuff like that. But you've still got 500 light years, to navigate back and forth before you get to that stage. For me, dropping the shield generator just to get the jump range up by 1.4 light years, it's not worth it. You're just giving up too much. And the thing is, right, you can look at the hard points. I'm at 32.91 light years now. If I look at maybe the utility mount and say, okay, I can add a heat sink launcher. It's only 1.3 tonne. Look at the difference it's making to my jump range down here. 32.79 compared to 32.91. It's only, I'm only losing 0.1 of a light year for something like a heatsink launcher. So if I go with that, and then I think, well, why don't I just go with a kill warrant scanner which does the same thing? That means that if I'm out there killing stuff, I can, I'm going to be able to collect bounties on the way back and forward. Even if it's just small stuff, there'll be bounties all over the place. Obviously, you're going to need weapons. You maybe think that weapons are going to really, slow the ship down or lower the jump range. But they don't on a ship like the ASP. You can add something like four of these gimbaled burst lasers, right? Just check what I'm at now. 32.68. Let's add 4 of these gimbaled burst lasers. I've lost 0.68 of a light year for 4 weapons. How can that not be worth it? Obviously, it's well worth just taking the weapons with you. You can talk about wear and tear and stuff like that. 4 burst lasers, you're going to blow away smaller targets. You can collect a kill warrant. You can collect, a warrant with them at the same time. There's no point in min-maxing to the stage where you're leaving yourself wide open with no shields and stuff like that, and no weaponry. Just take it. We now need to look at the power plant. However, it's not that bad. a D2, okay, it's 1 ton of mass, but you can fit an A3 for 2.5. 1.5 ton of mass on a ship the size of the Asp is nothing. I'm down to 31.88 light years. That's not really that bad. Now, what about the rest? Like I said, I'm going to be keeping the thrusters the way it is. Now that you've got weapons and shields, you want to get a better power distributor. But again, this isn't going to be that bad. From the D3 at 2 tons to the A4 at 10. Now, it is pretty big, yeah? But how much is it actually costing me? 31.88, 31.23. So it's costing me 2/3 of a light year. But that's giving me tons of power, way more shield power, boosting more often for the loss of 0.6 of a light year. Now, that's basically it. You can fit in cargo compartments here, which is what I'm going to do just because. Right, so we went from 34.38 light years down to 31.23. So we've lost 3 light years, which is actually is about 10%. But that's only, that's 3 more jumps every 1,000 light years in a ship like the Asp, yeah? And that's only if the jumps are maximised. This is the lowest that you will ever jump, yeah? Unless you actually start using the cargo space. But if you just look at the current 31.23, that is, the lowest you'll jump. As your fuel comes down, you'll be able to jump further. Obviously, it's the same if you strip it down to its maximum spec or its min-max spec. But the thing is, even if I was at 34 years jump range, I'll be making lots of jumps around about the 30, 29, 30 jump range. So there's every so often that this 31 would be more than good enough. So you don't really need, you wouldn't always be getting the full use out of the 34 year jump range anyway. And even if you were, 3 jumps every 1,000 light years compared to, you're getting all this, you're getting a full weapon loadout really, and you're getting your shields, which for me is the one thing I would not like to leave behind, and you're getting a better power distributor as well. I can understand how people would maybe want to min-max it, especially with the fact that there are no NPCs after a certain level, but I just would not be willing to give up the shields, and the shields are the big one. Yeah, I can still sell these shields. I'm at 31.23, and it's adding another 1.2, 1.3. Yeah, it comes down to, if you're going to use the shields, you may as well also add weapons and stuff as well. You may as well go with a better power distributor. In the end, it's costing you 3 light years, 3 jumps every 1,000 light years, but instead of being a sitting duck, you're now a combat-worthy ship. All that's left to do now is decide where you're actually going to go. Now, this is the hardest thing for me, is actually deciding where I'm going to go. There's been big changes in the patch 1.1, obviously. You can now navigate 1,000 light years. Make sure you set to fastest routes before you leave, yeah? And you can now get 1,000 light year. Very quickly plot a route as far as 1,000 light year. There's one there. That looks like it could be a decent one. Plots it very quickly. This looks like a red supergiant, maybe a red hypergiant. I may go there. I'll decide whether or not I want to go there. But through all that, I'm probably going to be in a combat situation for a while, or a potential combat situation. So I think it's better to have the shields and to have the weapons. If you were going on a 30,000 light year trip, then you might think, yeah, okay, let's just avoid the weapons and stuff like that. I would still go with the shields personally myself. Right, so like I said, I've really got not much of a clue where I'm going to be heading. So I thought, I'm just going to head over to this coal sack region, check that out. It looks like very dark and very few stars. If you basically find a spot where you want to head over to, just check some of the more unusual looking stars on the way, and you can set waypoints that way. Like this blue star. Or is it a white star, this one? This might be worth going to, so there's no reason why you can't just plot a route to that. Again, make sure you're on fastest routes. You get paid more for certain stars like blue stars, and it's not going to be a huge amount more, but it's probably worth heading there, especially if they're large stars. You get paid more for large stars. I've got an infographic which I will show you. and it shows basically, you know, how you get paid regarding the size and the temperature of stars, as well as for planets. But if you find a sort of area where you want to head to, just check if you plot to it, like I just typed in Coalsack, yeah. You find a region and there'll be stars around. Coalsack's actually a couple of regions, I think. Yeah. You find a star that you fancy the look of, like this blue one here. Quite often there will be proper stars, like this Hipparchus 65021. Plot a route to that. Maybe find you picking up more on the way, yeah. So I reckon that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to head off in this direction and see how it goes. Just admit, it's actually quite an exciting feeling thinking that you're heading out somewhere and you're actually going to be, you know, discovering stuff that is almost certainly has not been discovered by other players yet. Now, what's this? I'm definitely going to head over to this one. And then I'll go back and cut back in that other direction. Now, this is going to be a short trip, as I'm just testing it out, and I will also be getting a Thrustmaster, a T-Flight Hotus X, pretty soon. So obviously you're going to want to watch me, you know, learning how to use that instead of the mouse in a combat situation. So I don't want to get too far. I don't want to spend hours or days exploring when I've got a new joystick coming. Straight away we're heading to the lovely named Call 285 Sector GN0B210. It just rolls off the tongue, that one. Right, pretty simple. The very first thing you do is hold down the right mouse button and do your system scan. Right, so one new object, it's 2 stars, nothing much here. Already been discovered. So basically the first thing you're going to do is target ahead and while you're doing your scanner. You may as well do that. You're going to be visiting a lot of systems, and that's going to get me a little bit more money. You've probably heard that exploration is not that fantastic regarding credits, and it certainly isn't. Now, if this second star was nearby, or if it had a system, then I would consider going to it as well. But under most circumstances I would not bother going to a star. It's 66,000 light seconds away, which is pretty far. There's another way you can look. An orbital period of 716,000 days. It's pretty far away, yeah. I certainly would not bother. I wouldn't even go over there if it had a system, probably. Because it's just going to take too long to get there. Waste of time. Right, so we're going to continue on the next. Now here's the thing, as soon as you target something, you lose your ability to just hyperspace to the next point by pressing the J key again. So you have to go back into your navigation, all the way down at the bottom, and it's a 31.1 light year jump. Lock the destination, and J again. Now I'm going to fuel scoop at this next one, I think. You don't want to go too far without refueling, because that's just disaster waiting to happen. "26 new objects." Right, I'm going to hang around in this system then. Like I was saying about the refueling, you can only refuel at certain types of stars. If you end up going to one that's too small, like below the M class stars, and you don't have enough fuel, then you've had it, yeah, because you can't refuel. You can only refuel at class O, class B, class A, class F, class G, class K, and class M stars. Oh, be a fine girl, kiss me is how you know which ones. That's the really old-fashioned way. There's probably other ways of doing it now. Anyway, let's refuel. You've got to be a little bit careful here. I'm going to try not to get, you know, into the 100%.
Fuel scooping.
It's a very good fuel scoop I've got, as you can see. The heat's just going up a little bit too much. Keep it above 100, not too much. Keep the fuel above 300. Keep the heat down. Below 100, you'll be doing pretty well. You can go to 150 before you start taking damage, but I want to try and keep it below 100 just in case that this is going to contribute to, you know, certain costs or damage some of my components. There you go, half a tank refueled in no time whatsoever, and that's just a C5 scoop I'm using. So let's have a look at this system. Right, pretty big looking system. It's a multiple, obviously. Right, so we've got a Class L Dwarf. Like I said, you would not be able to refuel at this one. We've got a bunch of tiny planets that don't particularly look worthwhile going to. And some of these may be terraformable, which are worth more money if you deep scan them. Let's have a look. 6.6 days. You can sort of tell by their orbital period and their semi-major axis just how close they are to the actual star. It's a Class M, so it's actually quite large for a Class M. Quite massive for a Class M. At this sort of distance, these are going to be metallic planets or high metal content planets, which are worth a little bit more again, but not really awesome. A little bit further out, you maybe start to find that there's a slight chance of these being water worlds and stuff like that, but you can sort of tell by looking at them. Yeah, they're not going to be. So I'm just going to ignore this system. I've already scanned it. I'll get paid a lot simply for the 26 objects, even though I'm not going to be deep scanning any of them. I haven't come across a single ship so far. There's nothing to see here, although this looks like rather large for a Class L Dwarf. But we're going to ignore all this. There it is over there. At this distance, I can probably target it, and it'll start scanning. Yep. So you may as well do that as well. It's the same for certain planets. If you check that, if you're in a certain system, there can be planets really nearby. You don't even need to move in order to scan them. You notice I'm not choosing lock and engage hyperdrive. I think that bugs me out sometimes. I'm just locking target and then I am manually using the J key to jump. Right, so we're finally getting near the initial target, which was HIP 63835. 2 new objects. No. Now that's an interesting looking, very large planet. 74,000 days out. It's pretty far away. You may decide that this is worth going to pay a visit just for the sheer curiosity factor. In between 2 stars, yeah, it's actually orbiting both. This planet's pretty far away. It's got an interesting graphic on it. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be... That's like almost like a Terran planet it's showing up on the holo scanner thing. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be like that when I get there. But yeah, if you see something that's, you know, a bit of a curiosity, this is when you can decide to, you know, go and pay it a visit. Maybe it looks really good and you get a good screenshot of it. This is really what exploration is all about. It's finding those good looking planets and posting your pictures on the forum. You're not going to make an awful lot of credits per hour doing this. I started scanning this one about 800 light seconds away, so it's clearly a very large planet. Class 1 gas giant. There are different classes of gas giants as well. Some of them have got life. You get paid more for certain types, like Class 2s I believe pay the most. There's nothing particularly awesome about this one, apart from it being very large. And there we go. The large white star. 33 new objects. This is a Class O, which is the hottest type of star you can get. Right, now this is an interesting system because we have found a black hole. I didn't actually have any idea what was here. There's another black hole there, and another one there. This is some system, yeah. How many stars is that?
Fuel scooping.
I'm a little bit nervous about getting too close to this. A very small black hole, this one. There you go. My very first ever black hole. Now, systems like this are almost certainly worth scanning, yeah, because there's just so many bodies around. Black holes are worth a lot. They should be very easy to scan all of these objects because of the distance. There's another, what's this, a Class A? I mean, you don't need to go around scanning everything, yeah, but I would certainly consider going for the black hole. It's all pretty close as well. It's only 7,500 light seconds, so this is like a very close system. Like I said before, with so many stars, you can actually just target them and you will scan them. You can probably target them better from the navigation menu. Sorry. Brown dwarf scan from there. This looks like another black hole. Can't get to that one quite yet. Pretty smart system. If you look just to the right, you can see all those brown dwarfs. I'll go for this black hole. A system surrounding a black hole. See, this is why explorers enjoy this game so much, because there are some pretty wonderful things to find out here. And this is really close by as well. We are still in, you know, habitable space, really. When you find a system like this, it's worth writing down the name of it, because when you go to sell the data, you know, it's interesting to see how much money that these are going to be worth. Certainly, if you were now the first to find a system like this, it's going to be worth a lot of credits with the 50% bonus. Nice, second black hole discovered. Is this another one? Black holes orbiting each other. Yeah, it is, yeah. A couple of black holes orbiting each other with a system around them. How cool is that? You do feel sort of nervous flying around them. That looks like the Class A. This looks like a Class G over here. Now let's head over to this other little system. Now, like I said, this is probably, you know, taking it a little bit far now. There's no need to really go here. You wouldn't go to a planet like this if it was a different system. So you maybe just think, right, okay, this has been great, but if you're doing it for, you know, efficiency purposes, then yeah, you certainly wouldn't bother coming over here just to pick up this little planet, whatever it is. But if you're a completionist, obviously, good luck in this game. But that's pretty much all the interesting objects. These stars would be pretty good. Quite an interesting looking planet. Not one you'd like to visit, obviously. HIP 63835 was a system that was certainly worth a visit. Now you basically have to decide where are you going next. Look at that when you look at it on the star now, on the map now. Yeah. 3 black holes. Right, I was heading towards a coal sack. There's a couple here that may be worth visiting. But let's have a look and see if there's anything on the way. This one maybe? Really, that's what you want to do. You want to sort of scroll out a bit. You're looking for the proper names, you know, the proper catalogue names, as opposed to all these, you know, generated names. If it's got a catalogue name, it's probably, you know, for a reason. We'll head for this red one. And interestingly enough, we will be picking up another one on the way. Acrox. An interesting one to pick up too, actually. It's not that far away. Right, so yeah, I'm going to manually go for Acrox and then head to HIP 6202. Now, what's this? Yellow Giant. HR 4522. Might be worth a visit. Right, let's head to Acrox then. 2 jumps. See, this is what I meant about the distance thing. This is going to be 2 jumps even if you've got a 34 light year jump distance or a 31 light year jump distance. So if you're manually doing it like this, 26.5 light years would have been enough to get to that in 2 jumps. You could also say I haven't been attacked by anyone yet, so I haven't really needed my shields, of course, yeah. I'm going to jump to here before I jump to Acrox. Yeah, this could be a nice system. Look like you're going to have water worlds here, possibly. You've got the potential in this. Now, I talked about terraforming, or did I talk about terraforming? Terraformable planets, good for money. There's a very good chance that all these planets here are going to be terraformable. So these are ones that are probably worth scanning if you're out for the money. Let's have a look. They're all at pretty good distance for potential life as well. I'm actually going to explain that, right? We found a Class F star. I'm being interdicted. I'm just going to submit to this one. It's a Novus and an Eagle.
Power plant capacity exceeded. Target destroyed.
That's why I brought 4 lasers with me. Sadly, I think I killed him too fast. Yeah, I didn't even pick up any other bounties he had because I killed him too fast. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to explain this one. Right, let's look at the system map. We've got a Class F star. It's actually pretty big for a Class F. Almost 40% larger than the Sun in radius. 60% more mass. So it's a pretty big star. If you look at this semi-major axis, which is 1.27 AU, or 1.27 astronomical units, the Earth is 1 astronomical unit away from the Sun. So if you think about it like this, if this was 1 astronomical unit away from a much larger, sort of hotter star, then it's much more likely that this planet is going to be too hot. And it's probably still going to be too hot, this one, because it's just close enough to the star that it's going to be pretty hot, yeah. But all these other ones at 1.6, good chance of finding, had they had water, or have these got water on them, good chance of these being like Earth-like worlds, or even having life and stuff like that on it, because it's in the star's habitable zone. These two here certainly should probably be within the star's habitable zone, but I would be surprised if most of these are not terraformable, because they're all pretty close by. This one's a little bit far out probably, but I'm going to pay it a visit anyway. So basically speaking, anything that was within 1 AU is going to be too hot, and anything just a little bit over it, there should be a decent chance of finding something interesting there anyway, so let's go and have a look. This is high metal content. You find this when they're a little bit hot as well. Let's have a look at the system map. 584k, it is a very hot planet. It's also got carbon dioxide atmosphere, which isn't helping it. Check out the second one. Another high metal content, nothing too much to get excited about there. Might as well scan its moon at the same time. Rocky planet's not really worth much at all. This one's even hotter. That one's pretty close to the temperature of the Earth though. But very small. No atmosphere. But like I said, this one's a candidate for terraforming. I would expect the next one to be as well. Maybe even the rest of these. So let's go check them out. Another high metal content. Terraformable again. And we're getting pretty close to an Earth-like planet here. And it's a lot smaller, but the temperature's pretty close. A little bit of water. Now I'm expecting something similar from this planet. The other two maybe a little bit too far out, too cold. We'll soon find out. Another high metal content, not much to see here really. Picked the wrong one, that's why. It's not quite terraformable, this one. I guess it's going to be just a little bit too cold maybe. 2 more planets to check out here, I might as well do that. Check out this one first. Pretty strange orbit on this one actually. Interesting enough planet, but it's not terraformable. Pretty sure this last one will be. I found a water world. Water worlds are pretty good for money. Don't think there's too much water in this though. Terrestrial water world with an active water-based chemistry and carbon-based water life. It's 4 times the distance from the Earth from the Sun. Round about the same size as Earth. It's worth a few more thousand credits. I'm going to head to Acrux like I was intending to start with. But sometimes these little side tracks can be worth doing. Right, so we've found a Class B. I'm guessing there might be a black hole or two around here. Let's have a look. We've got a bunch of brown dwarfs. Some of them are going to have rings around them, which could make for some interesting shots. This one looks like an interesting one. This Class T dwarf, with a rather large ring system. Again, because some of them are so close by, you don't even need to move in order to scan them. All the stars have got, you know, hundreds to thousands light years scan distance, so quite an eerie glow from some of these larger, hotter stars. You can see the rings on this from here. Let's pop in here and see what this looks like. Could be interesting. Pay this one a closer visit because these rings look very interesting. It's almost like a satellite dish. Remember, you can turn off your orbit lines if you want to. You can turn off the HUD as well, but I'm going to jump into these rings.
Decompromised.
A little bit of hull damage. It's pretty smart, right? And here's the thing, right? You're going to always get ships in these.
Scan detected.
A Federal dropship. Novice. Now these fights can be... This could be a tricky fight, yeah?
Power plant capacity exceeded.
Let's scan him. Her. Him, yeah. $32,000 bounty. Is it worth a go?
Detected. Under attack.
It's a pretty interesting fight, interesting place to be fighting. This dropship just can't turn on me. That's a pretty woeful target, I've got to say. I want to be careful. I don't want to start taking hull damage and stuff like that, but I'm probably gonna.
Shields offline. Taking damage. Target destroyed.
I took a little bit of damage, but 33,000 bounty. Just about worth it. This is really what I come in for though. But it is worth thinking about, because you come into these places and if you don't have shields and stuff like that, get yourself into a bit of trouble maybe. Another brown dwarf with an interesting looking ring system around it. There's not too much interest in here in all honesty. I'll just continue on my journey towards a coal sack. Zeta Crucius, that looks quite interesting. 3 Class Bs. I'm going to pay this one a visit. One of them very far away, one of them pretty close though. Right, so this HR4522 looks like a yellow giant. I think it's probably worth popping in there for a look. Once again, 2 jumps. Even if I was 34 light years, it would have been 2 jumps away. So this is the first giant star that I've come across since I started out. You do get paid more for giants as well. 36 new objects, that's quite good. White supergiant. Looks like it's on its way to becoming yellow to me. Right, some pretty interesting looking gas giants. Very large. Pretty interesting looking planets these as well. I'm going to have to pay this one a visit. These giants seem pretty good to scoop at because they're not too hot. You're still getting some pretty decent fuel out of it, and I haven't even hit 90% yet. It's a big one. Right, so let's head out to this interesting looking planet that's far out. You can tell it's a big star by how slowly it is moving. Right, let's have a little jump in at this one and see what it looks like. Control Alt G, you can turn off the HUD to get a better look.
Landing gear deployed.
It's a shame about the windows and some of them actually. I mean, it's not too bad I guess, but if you could get like that proper view of that, get some proper screenshots. Alt and F10 takes a high quality screenshot, high resolution screenshot. It's pretty cool though. And these are the sort of views that the explorers are really in it for.
Landing gear retracted.
Every time I press Control Alt G, my landing gear goes up and down because G is my keybind for my landing gear. We're pretty close to the coal sack now. It is tempting after you've done all this to think, you know, maybe I could head back now and cash some of this in. Just to see how much money it's all worth. That's what I feel like doing. I mean, I've hardly travelled very far at all. 300 years or so from Lave. Might as well press on. I've been to A Crux, so why not go to B Crux, I guess? Could do that.